This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
Welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Travis.
And Nick is not with us tonight. He's feeling under the weather. We hope he feels better soon. He's just got this crazy life, man. I feel like every time he gets a win, he gets punched back down. But he'll be back soon enough. But we do have a replacement for him for this episode. This is our Toledo Walleye season recap episode, and we are joined by Mark Monroe of the Toledo Blade. If you've listened to the show long enough, he's a former guest of the show. Once or twice now before this at this point. Third appearance, I believe, on the show. Second appearance, I can't keep track, but awesome friend of the show. Get to spend a lot of time with him down in media, outside the locker room after Walleye games. It's an awesome source of knowledge around the Toledo hockey scene. Been covering it for a very long time. So we're going to toss it right to our interview with him. And after that, we'll outro the show, and it's officially off-season content time for both teams after that. So now to our interview with Mark. Well, everyone, with special guests here to wrap up this Toledo Walleye season, Mark Monroe of the Toledo Blade joins the show again to talk about everything that happened this season. Mark, welcome back, man. We are excited to have you.
Yeah, excellent to be back. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
And as you alluded before we hit record, we wish we were talking about a championship, but we get to talk about an incredible season overall, a season where I feel like, you know, they kind of overachieved at points to where we thought they probably would have been.
I think that's very fair to say. I mean, going into the season, I suppose the expectations were pretty high. A bunch of the guys had come back. I think they had 14 guys from the previous season come back, and they looked like they were pretty well loaded. Bednar had a year under his belt in net, and Spezia coming back from GR, as you guys know, coming down here and rejoining Hawkins, and got off to a good start, and I thought it was promising for sure. They had a fantastic regular season, and won the division again, and the playoffs started well. And to fast forward to the end, I don't think it's any surprise to you guys or anybody else that is listening to this podcast. They simply ran into a hot goalie. I wish it was more complex than that, but that's why there was no Kelly Cup, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, really, I thought they outplayed Trois-Rivières there in the, at least in the last two games of the finals. They should have sent it back home for sure. Instead of having that fan celebration game that Tuesday, there should have been a game 6, if you ask me. But that Luke Cavallin for the Lions was unreal. That I was there, fortunate I was, fortunate or unfortunate. I was there, and just watching that guy, his glove. I mean, the kid was unreal, and that's I was adding it up, not just to ramble on here, guys, but I did want to make sure I got this. I was looking at the last 3 games against the Lions. Toledo outshot them 113-67, including 49-25 in that last game. They were doing everything but scoring. They were doing everything they talked about, getting guys in front of the net, making it hard on him, take away his eyes. They did everything but score. I mean, Hawkins had goals that he would score in his sleep that just didn't go in for him. So, I mean, that's it's so tough to win. What this solidified for me is how difficult it is to win a championship. It just, you've got to have so many things go your way. You talk about puck luck, and just so much has to go your way. It's a grind, but regardless of another fantastic season, but of course the fan base and everybody is disappointed that it didn't end with them hoisting that cup.
I think the biggest thing is it's disappointing for the fans, but it's even more disappointing for them, because ultimately they want it the most, like the players. And sometimes I feel like it's maybe not received that way at times by some of the fans, but at the end of the day, the players want it more than anything. And like you said, I mean, really, you can point out 4 periods that maybe the Lions got the better of them, but as a whole, I thought they were the better team in most of the finals. The season as itself was great. Like you said, another division title. That's something to hang your hat on. You win the West. Like, yeah, you ultimately are 3 games short, but, like, it's a hell of a run.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the guys are hurt more than anybody else, and I can testify to that. Just there's no tougher locker room to go down to when there's another team out on that ice, and their fans are going nuts, and just the atmosphere is just they put so much into it, and they're walking around like the walking wounded. Not to get too, but I mean you guys know how tough hockey is. There's no tougher sport, and they put it all on the line. You're talking ice bags, guys limping around. There was tears in eyes. I mean, they wanted it. Trust me, more than anybody else. That goes from the coaching staff on down. A lot of obvious hugs and just disappointment because you could taste it. They were so darn close, and it's those are tough interviews to do because the toughest. I mean, you know what they've been through and how bad it hurts them to, their brothers go through all that and to come up short. So really, there's nobody. I don't think they could hang their heads about anything. That's one thing I will tell you. With the run they put together, they had nothing to be ashamed of. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I do want to ask you though, since you were there, and obviously it's quite a hike to get there for a lot of fans, so not a lot of people got to go. What was the experience like in that arena? Like, what was it all like overall?
I don't know if you've ever been. I mean, it's first of all, it's completely French speaking. Everything there is French. Everything. You go to a McDonald's. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Went to a McDonald's, and my go-to every time was "Parles-tu anglais?" which is you speak English, and then without hesitation, every time it would be a little, and then there'd be a conversation where there'd be broken English. There's a language barrier, but the whole culture too, as far as the game experience. Cheers in French, and they had a DJ there. It felt like I think I probably tweeted this out. It felt like I was at a rave. I mean, it was so loud. Their building there is the ceiling is so low. And their speakers, maybe because I was literally like right where they had me seated, it was like right in front of a speaker, but it was like never been to a rave, but it felt like that's what it was. But the whole thing was just, and I will say this, everybody there was really nice, really good people, but it felt like not just a different country. It felt like a different world for me, but the people there were great, and they ended up having really good crowds. I wasn't sure because their attendance wasn't that great in the regular season. In fact, it was bad, and that team nearly folded, as a matter of fact. But yeah, the whole experience was just different, and but they embraced it at the end. It just does seem kind of unfair that a fan base like that gets to celebrate. And here we're working on, you guys do the math, 1994, the last time this Toledo fan base can celebrate a title. They're in their 4th year, and here they've got the cup, but. That's just tough to see them celebrate. But it was one of the more interesting experiences I've had covering this team for the last 15 years.
It is such a crazy story too, from almost folding to champion. Like, you've covered hockey and sports for a while. Have you seen something like that in your time recently?
Well, the ECHL, I think I've told Travis this, Brandon. It's the ever-changing hockey league, right? And not just players going team to team, but you see teams fold, teams come back. Even the team here in Toledo was gone for a while, just those years where they were building the new arena. But, they've had teams like the Newfoundland team where ownership, it's a tough league, I think, to make a go of it all the way up and down. So, no, but I haven't ever seen I hope they do well up there. They've got a newer arena. Like I said, the facility was neat, and obviously that's the home of hockey. You're in the middle of. It's an hour and a half north of Montreal, and an hour and a half south of Quebec City. So it's smack dab in the middle of hockey country. So yeah, no, I haven't seen anything like that, and it just seems unfair.
It is crazy too that both, like, obviously the Stanley Cup drought for Canada is quite long, but you look at the other pro levels and you got the ECHL and the AHL, the champions are in Canada. It's crazy how that's worked.
Yeah. That they're huge. It's Montreal Canadian territory there. Yeah. So the reason why that game 6 was played at 3 in the afternoon, which I think was ridiculous, by the way.
Yes, agreed.
I mean, I said something out there on Twitter, and I got some blowback on that, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous when you're playing in the finals and you don't even have 24 hours of rest for that game. But the reason why they moved it is because the Canadians, who on the regular season routinely play on Saturday nights, but it's like, well, not only are they not playing, they're not in the playoffs, and Edmonton wasn't even playing that night. So, but whatever. Right. That I never heard that from a player or a coach that, that's why we lost. But
yeah,
they got to do better there. I know the ECHL, I think, really wanted them to have that as a night game, but again, that's water under the bridge, and I don't know how big of a difference it would have made considering what, like I said, the Walleye had 49 shots on goal that day. So
yeah, Luke Haviland was very impressive. Just kind of going back to the regular season, we talked about the expectations. Obviously, they were there for this team, and everyone said all season cup or bust, right? And a lot of the players, they knew that. They refused to talk about it. They didn't want to talk about it until it was time, but they refused it. But what did you think overall, just of their performance in the regular season? Did it meet those expectations, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they got it done. They had home ice advantage in the division, and then. Yeah, I mean, I think they had another very successful regular season. I mean, I thought they did well avoiding the injury bug too much. I mean, Beraldo, I think they expected Adrian Beraldo to play a bigger part. I think the loss of Chaz Redekop, I could go down the list. I mean, but those two in particular, those losses I thought probably hurt them the most. Grand Rapids obviously helped with the 2 goalies, and that seems to be what we're going to go with going forward. It seems like Grand Rapids, obviously the Red Wings are stacked with goalies in the system, and it seems as though they're going to try to get their younger guys their feet wet here. So I think that all went well. I mean, I would hope that they get a little more support from GR as far as the skating position, but I also know that Pat likes to form his own roster. They like to have their own guys here too, but having Bantle down and I wish they would have gotten Seager a couple more games. Now, your GR fans that are watching say, they don't, we need them up here. And Hunter Johans, I thought, might have been a difference maker too, guys. If they would have qualified, they have to play 5 games, and I don't think he
was one short. One short. Yep.
So it's like that was kind of disappointing because a big body like that would have helped them. And I think the biggest cry here from the fans is the size, lack of size. You need the size, and I think they still want to get bigger going forward. But I thought they matched up well. Kansas City, I don't think the Mavericks that they ran into in the conference finals again weren't as big as they were last year. But Walleye acquitted themselves nicely, I thought, on the physicality scale, especially against Toronto Riviera in the finals, a much bigger team. But yeah. I thought they were just equally physical. So I don't know. It's I think that there were people that were skeptical. I think there were a lot of naysayers going into the playoffs. It's easy to look back now that they made the finals. Oh, this was the team to do it. But trust me, there were a lot of people, maybe myself included, that thought, they'll get out of the division and they're going to run into Kansas City and unfortunately probably lose in the conference finals again. But they put it all together, guys. I mean, they had a fantastic playoff run, and I was adding it up. 72 regular season games, right? And then you got 20 in the playoffs. That's 92 hockey games.
That's a lot.
The grind and I don't know, just the way they started off the playoffs. I know you asked for regular season. I don't mean to move off that.
Oh, you're good.
The sweep of Indy, and then I think the biggest question mark everybody saw when they fell behind in that Fort Wayne series, right, Travis?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I don't know if we're going to lose. We're going to lose to the rival. But then they come back and win the next 3. And the big win in overtime there where they stole the game. Oh. They had some big wins along the way. You got to have games like that.
Yeah.
I thought the goaltending was, solid. And, I mean, I don't know if you give it a letter grade. What would you guys give it? The whole season in a whole?
I mean, I would say, championship, you get an A+, so I would say solid A. Okay. There's you're 3 wins from winning it all, right? It's not like I mean, it does suck and it feels like a failure, right? But at the same time, you have to look full scale at the whole season. And with some of the, like, you look at some of the guys that missed time this year, like Spezia missed time. Keenan was in and out of the lineup. Bliss played through multiple injuries all year. Redicop, you lose him, halfway through the season. And it's just like, I feel like they battled so much adversity and they still got to the end and they were there and had a chance. So I would give them an A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Spezia. That's a good point, Travis, that they did lose him for like the last quarter of the regular season, then that first round. And then he came back. And I guess one of the big things, obviously, Hawkins, we could go on and on about him, but he's just a phenomenal player to watch. And to see him paired up with his buddy Spezia and Bliss and to watch them, man, when they were clicking, they were really – they just looked unstoppable at times. It's like zipping the puck, back and forth. And, I think that's one of the best lines. I don't think I'm out of line saying this, that the Walleye have ever fielded. The Hansen line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially fully healthy. Like, I think it was the first game of the season, or it might have been the second game of the year, and it was like they won a face-off and, like, Hawkins grabbed the puck, went around, and Spezia had one timer, and it's just like, this is how the whole season's gonna go. Like, but no, it was exciting to watch them. I mean, Craggs had a decent year. I think he came down a little bit on goals, but still had a productive year. Louis had a good second season. You go up and the emergence of Ambrosio up front when he came in, he was a key piece that they found in the college ranks. I mean, just to talk about the forwards, we'll get to the defense, but you look top to bottom, and I mean, they had guys that played their roles really well. I thought, I know he was hurt at the end of the year, but Messina, I thought he played his role really well. Keenan, for battling through all the injuries that he battled through this year, didn't have the point season he had last year, but you can tell he's that heart and soul kind of player.
Glue guy.
Yeah, he's the glue, man. I feel like Hawk's the diesel engine that powers that team, but you got Keenan that he's the glue that keeps everything together at times. And Spezia coming back was great, and it was just Bannell had one of the weirdest years. You look at the goals to assists and how interesting of a statistic that was, but all in all, I thought the forward group lived up to the expectation.
Yeah, it's interesting. They all found their pieces. The new guys you brought, you mentioned Ambrosia and Woolton and Moscow, and those guys coming in, just fitting in, finding their roles. And, Pat Mickish in his second year, I think he did a great job, like you said, finding those guys and bringing them in. And he didn't make too many tweaks. I think the Grant Gabriel thing still is a little question mark to me as to why they relinquished his rights. I think I'm sure that was one guy they probably could have used too, the defenseman back there. But all in all, I think Pat kind of relies on the team. He's not, I don't know if hands off is the right way, but how many times, Travis, did we ask him if it was after a loss, is how do you think, how's this team going to respond? And he would say, oh, I trust the room. I trust the leaders in that room. Must have heard that 20, 25 times. And it was true. He just let them, you get leaders like that, and you can understand why. And, I think all the way around, I thought it came together.
Well, I mean, you look at the leadership core that they had, right? The four captains, and then you got guys like Spezia and Redicop, in the earlier part of the season that they know the expectation, and I think they kind of all knew look, we can kind of police ourselves. We're a close team, and I think Pat just maybe had to pull a string here or there, but like you said, mostly kind of left it up to them to correct themselves, and I feel like they did that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. You've got guys like Craggs and Cruz. Those two guys stick out to me, and like you said, Conlon Keenan, the guys that have been around, just want to win it for Toledo more than anybody else, and you get that kind of motivation, and that's going to go a long way. I thought they definitely had the leadership part covered. And yeah, it's just we'll see what happens now as we go forward. Maybe we'll have another show when we get through the off season and see what happens with the roster. But it's going to look a lot different next year, unfortunately. But again, the ever-changing hockey league.
Do you think that's like maybe even, I don't want to say this like the wrong way, but as exciting as maybe, okay, it's time for something different? Like, you know what I mean? Like, not to put that in a bad way, but like, you know that you're going to have roster change at some point in this league, and you've had that core for so long, and now you're going to have fresh faces. Like, you know that's going to happen, right, with all the subtractions they've already had. But still having a few guys come back, like, I feel like there's going to be enough guys there that, you know, were there from this year and the year before to where you're going to have the leadership and the culture is still going to be there, but like the fresh faces are going to be kind of an exciting twist.
It's like that every year. I've seen it. Like I said, I think last year coming into this season was a little bit of an anomaly where 13 guys came back. That's for this league. I mean, that's not like other leagues where you have most of your teams you're definitely going to have them back. But there's been years where there's maybe 6 guys. I've seen that, and it's worked out.
Yeah.
I've seen it where it hasn't worked out. So I guess the trust is in Pat and the coaching staff, Alden Hirschfeld, Brett Bain, and Ed Burkholder, who's a guy that he's their head scout. I don't think gets enough recognition for helping put these teams together. I think he has quite a bit of input as to which guys they go after. So he's got his work cut out for him, but this is a place guys want to play. I know we've talked about that as well. So the recruiting aspect of getting guys that are fringe or, you know, that are going to be in the ECHL, that is, to come here to Toledo is, I don't think it's a tough sell.
Yeah.
No way, it's a tough sell. That's an easy sell right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, like we were around the team a decent amount this season. You're around the team a heck of a lot more than us, and you know we've talked about this guy Tyler Spezia and his return to Toledo. Just what was it like being around them and watching him get to play hockey with his best friend this whole past season? Like, what was that experience like?
Really cool. One of the first of all, Spezia, you guys I think know him as well. He's just such a good person. I mean, he just started going back when he started his career here. When he moved up, I wasn't happier for any other guy, you know, as much as I was for him to move up and have success up there and to stick for 4 years up there. And I saw him at a golf outing last summer, and he kind of indicated, hey, hang on to this, but I'm coming back. I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. That's great. And just to see him, and that's a lifelong friendship. I mean, he and Hawk were friends since they were kids, and you could tell they were just, because Spezia said more than once that he had kind of lost the fun playing up there in GR. It's not that it's not a business down here, but I think he kind of got lost and wasn't getting the ice time or whatever, and he just wanted to have fun playing the game. And man, I tell you what, seeing him, as we just talked about earlier, playing with Hawk and Bliss on that line, I think they had a blast. And you know, he had a tough season off the ice. Some things happened with his dog. I don't you probably know that whole story, but that's just some tough personal stuff that he went through. And then he breaks his collarbone, for goodness sakes. That was at home. I'll never forget that play, right, guys?
Yeah.
He was just full tilt into the boards, and he knew, oh God,
it's 5 rows in front of me. It was scary.
Yeah, that was a tough thing to see. It's always tough to see injuries, but a guy like that was just, they were hitting their stride, as we talked about, and for him to be out, I'm like, the speculation, when is he going to come back? Oh, he'll be back 6 weeks. And sure enough, he came back, and I thought he looked good from, in the playoffs. And again, just going back to your question was, like Hawk loved it, Spezia loved it, and I wish Spezia nothing but the best of luck. As you know, he's going to play overseas next year, and he was almost apologetic, or he was apologetic in his post to the fans, like this wasn't his plan. But you guys understand that they don't make a ton of money in this league, and you got to make money. If you're a good hockey player, you can make a lot of money over in those European leagues where the tax rate is different and they pay you more, and so you can't fault a guy like that for going overseas. But I think he'll he'll definitely be missed. Just not his on ice stuff, but his leadership too.
Yeah, when he broke the news to me, I was like stunned. I was just like, "Oh my God, like this is so like I was upset and devastated, but at the same time excited for him, and he's going to probably have the time of his life over there. So it's just cool that he gets that opportunity, right, to go over there and do it and continue.
The same with Bliss, right?
Yeah, all the guys that are going over.
Bednar, yeah, so far. So we'll see who else. But I mean, it's again the routine here, in you know, as much as these guys want to win a championship, they also have to think about their life after hockey and their families. So I'll never begrudge a guy for. I don't look at them abandoning or walleye or whatever. You do what's best for you. Anybody would.
Oh, absolutely. Another forward I wanted to ask you about, just your impression seeing him this first season here. Carson Bantle, I know we talked about him a little bit earlier, but what did you think of his play style in this league and how he approached the game?
I think there's a reason why he's an AHL guy, to be honest with you. He's got the size and ability. I like when he he's got a grit to his game, That too, he's got the offensive ability, but I guess, he's a physical forward for sure, something they really needed. And I was impressed with him. And I think he spent maybe a quarter of the season here. I think, well, maybe more than like 39 games. So, yeah, he was good. I mean, he was a great addition. I could see him, staying next year up in GR. Obviously, they're loaded up there, but really impressed with him. I thought he provided a nice boost, an area where they really needed that physicality.
I agree 100%. I think he'll be in GR. I think he's earned that shot, but I want him to be either team. I'll be happy. Either team.
I guess, Mark, let's just kind of jump into the defense and the goaltending. I mean, what was kind of your biggest takeaways for this season and in the back end with the defense and the goaltending?
Well, let's start with the goalies first. It's funny, Bednar was the rookie of the year before with Lethaman. He was the guy learning the ropes, right? Learning how to be a pro. And I remember joking with him this year. It's like, oh, you're the veteran now, right? You got Guylander. How old is he? I think he's a year older even than Guylander, but Guylander's the rookie, right? It's just funny to see that how quickly the roles reversed. And I thought they formed a pretty nice tandem. I think Austin Kaiser, the goaltending coach they brought in, he was a nice fresh breath. I'll tell you what, he's a character, good guy. Just I think he helps keep things loose, and I thought he kept those two together. And they both had their rough times. I think Guylander maybe earlier, but I think they both found a groove, so much so that Pat obviously had trusted both of them to go with the rotation in the playoffs, and I think that paid off well for him. Obviously, he ended up going with Bednar at the end in the finals there, but I thought they played off each other well. I think they spent a lot of time off the ice, and you hear a lot about. Obviously, they're battling for playing time, but I think they really did develop a nice friendship. And saw them at the fan celebration. They were signing at the same table, and I thought solid. I guess with Bednar, I really think he took the next step. I got to say, I'm a little disappointed that Grand Rapids didn't re-up his contract. He was an unrestricted free agent, I think, but I thought he took a next step. I thought maybe as far as looking more comfortable in that, Travis, didn't you think he looked a little smoother and just calm, especially as the year went on and into the playoffs? It just seemed like he wasn't flopping around. He just seemed settled in that, and that goes a long way for the guys in front of him. Speaking of the defensive core, and Guylander, I thought, came into his own and earned every start he got. A lot of guys, fans were clamoring to go with Bedsy, but I think Carter earned that right to get those starts, and he performed well. So the goaltending, I don't know, yeah, B plus, definitely for sure. And then, I guess if you want me to, you got anything you guys want to add about the goalies or?
I think the biggest thing with goaltending is, like you said, with Austin Kaiser and what he provided them this year. And I know I said to him countless times, like, just the difference in goaltending this year versus last year, and not just on ice, but if you look at statistically the improvements. And it just shows that, like, having a guy like that down here is huge for development of not just them, for him, but even for the players and the organization as a whole. I think the organization put a lot of trust in him to kind of steer these guys and, get them going in the right direction. Like you said, Bednar, I would agree, took the next step in his career this year, kind of solidified himself as that 1A, and you've seen that in the playoffs. And then, with Carter, obviously, I think maybe beginning of the year he had a couple off nights, but then you look at like the game in Fort Wayne where he stopped 43 of 46, and he had those flashes too. So it's going to be interesting to see what Detroit does next year, who's here, maybe Guylander's back. I was kind of with you. I was kind of a little upset. I think we all were upset that Jan didn't get an extension with Grand Rapids. I think we all kind of thought that was well earned and he deserved that opportunity. But as a whole, I thought the goaltending did relatively well, and I would give it a better grade than last year's as a whole. It almost makes you wonder, what would John Lethman have looked like last year with a guy like Ace? I think I've said that to Brandon a few times. Because you look at the year that Kosa was here and they had goaltending coaches around from Detroit, you just seen how good, that was. And then the year that they were away and now that they had a guy here all year, it really helped. And I think that's the biggest thing with goaltending is just they were a tight bond. You've seen that off the ice. I mean, Mark, we've seen how many times they left the rink together every night, it felt like. So they clearly had a tight bond.
The goalie union.
Yeah, the goalie union.
And then the D obviously you start with Sparek, right? He was the big off-season acquisition, and maybe his offensive numbers weren't there in the regular season. He had a terrific year in Cincinnati the year before, and he didn't put up the goals in particular as he did in the regular season. But I thought he was they got exactly what they thought they were going to get out of him. He can be inconsistent sometimes, and can give up some plays, but then he could make some phenomenal plays. I remember the one-handed goal he scored, this forward type skill forward goal that was unbelievable. He certainly is a highly skilled guy, and that's a guy that plays with a lot of emotion, a lot of care to his game, and that's something good to have when you're in mid-February and the dog days of the season. You got guys like that are going to provide a spark. I thought he was a solid addition. I like Colin Sawyer. I thought was really good this year. You could go up and down. I think the whole defensive core was just as D-men do get lost in the shuffle, don't they? They don't get the notoriety unless you're a big physical guy or scoring a bunch of points in the back end. But I thought they were just solid. You could never, not often that you were like, oh, I mean, you're going to have some blown coverages and all that. But for the most part, they were solid as a whole group. I mean, I thought if you look at the goals against average, just the defensive numbers in particular, I thought, they were as good as a group as they've had in a while. I mean, up and down, the pairings, you had 4 solid pairings every night.
I think one thing that I think they paid more attention to defense this year. I think that was a point of emphasis. I think if you look back and if you look at goals against as a team overall, I think it was down about a goal this year. I could be wrong. I think it was goals for a game, they were down a goal, but also goals against, they were also down a goal.
Travis. Yeah,
so you're scoring one less, but if you're allowing one less, you're playing better defense. So I think that was a huge thing. Like you said, Sawyer had a phenomenal season in playoffs. Anderson had a phenomenal season in playoffs, but Smerek had a great first year overall. And I think maybe what was kind of tough with him is with him in Cincy, he kind of was the guy, right? The offense kind of went through him. So I think that was maybe a little bit of an adjustment, but I feel especially in the second half, he started to feel a little bit more comfortable. At least that's just what it looked like. But the one guy
he even said that to us, Travis. I think when we interviewed him, he mentioned it was a weird adjustment for him to not be the guy.
He had to find his role. It's a different role, as we talked about before, and that was fitting those pieces together.
Yeah, but the one guy I want to point out, though, is McCallion. I feel like he was the one guy that was Mr. Steady all season. You knew what you were going to get night in and night out from a guy like that. And then obviously the one that really hurt was losing Chaz. Like, I would have just loved to seen what the playoff team would have looked like with a guy like that in the lineup back there. I mean, he could have ate up like 30 minutes a night probably in the playoffs, and it was a treat to watch him for the first, half to three quarters of the season.
Yeah. I mean, they finally got that big guy, the physical, the enforcer, whatever you want to call it, the protector. And you know what stood out to me after he did get injured and he couldn't play. I mean, I know he wanted to. You guys saw him around all the way through the entire season, through the playoffs. He made every trip. You know who the first guy was to greet those guys off the ice was Redekop.
Yep.
And he stuck with the team. I think that says a lot about the guy's character. He could have I've seen it before where other guys are like, I'm done here. I'm not going to be with the team anymore. But for him to stick around, and he would have, he might have made a big difference there. He definitely would have made a difference in the playoffs, and to lose him was big. But you mentioned Matty Anderson, Travis. I really like that guy. He's a great little player, just a little spark plug. He had the knack for the big goals. I know in the regular season he earned some much-deserved call-ups to the AHL and spent some time up there. And when he came back, it was like, okay, here we go. They're going to take the offensive end of the defense up a tick. And he had some big goals throughout the playoffs. He's just another fun guy to cover.
I think if he was like 6'1" or 6'2", he's not even remotely close to the ECHL.
Yep.
Like, that's just one of the things where, like, it sucks that, it's that way because, like, he's such a magnificent skater. If he was, like, a couple inches taller, and you hear that all the time in hockey, like, I hate that size is such a, like, deteriorator for guys because I feel like a guy like that should be playing in the American League. And, like, even Swoyer, I mean, if he doesn't get an American League contract after the playoff he had, or if he ends up overseas, like, that's two guys that are destined for paydays somewhere.
Agreed. Yeah.
I guess, Mark, we'll just kind of transition to, like, who would you say was your, like, season MVP?
Wow.
the MVP?
Maybe the back-to-back MVP record-setting. I mean, all the numbers. I love when the Walleye released their year-end thing with all the records, and Hawkins' list is like that. He's just, he. To be fair, let's point out that his production dropped off, and he'll be the last one to make excuses. He just seemed to be snake bit. I know that might be an overly used thing, but I can recall 3 or 4 plays hitting posts and hitting crossbars, and I know he what impressed me with Hawk this year. He's my MVP, by the way.
Yeah.
Was his assists. He really became a distributor. And I think he really enjoyed that part of that aspect as we go back to Spezia and Bliss and just being a distributor to those guys. And sometimes a lot of times the assist is sweeter than the goal. And to see him 52 assists, I mean, during the regular season, I think he elevated that aspect of his game. And I think without him, who knows, So he's definitely the MVP. I mean, who would you say, you guys?
Oh, I'll let Travis go first here. But before Travis goes, I'm going to throw a random question in there because obviously the shape of the team is changing. We know they went with 4 alternates this year. Do you think opening night Hawk skates out with that C on his jersey?
I'd be shocked if he didn't.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, because he's not only the production guy, but he's a leader too, as we alluded to earlier about the leadership core. And I mean, who's the better leader than him to let the newer guys unfamiliar with the Toledo, the culture, the expectations, to guide the way? And I think he can talk with officials, and I think he absolutely deserves to be the captain. And I think he should be the captain. I don't think there's any question.
Yep, I agree. All right, Travis, your MVP.
I mean, you got to go Hawk, right? Like, just another incredible season. And for all the same points that Mark just pointed out, I mean, and off the ice too, like, you're not going to find a guy that's going to hold himself more accountable. Like, I can't even think of how many times, even during the playoffs, where, like, he's like, well, I got to be better, and it starts with me. And it's like, that's a guy that you would go into the foxhole with, right? Like, you want him kind of leading you in a battle, and just an incredible person off the ice, and you see how much he means to that team and the organization and the city, and on the ice his play kind of speaks for itself, but he's mine also.
And how much he loves the city, guys.
Yeah.
He came back here because he wants to lead this team to the championship, and going all the way back to the very beginning of our conversation. Nobody hurt more than him. Trust me, after they fell short. There's nobody that wants to win a championship more than that guy. And it's just, he could be going overseas and making money, but he just established his family has moved here. He's got a house here, and he's just devoted to Toledo hockey, and that says a lot about the Hawks' character.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's the obvious pick, I think, all around the board here for MVP. Even with him attempting to run me over with his dad's cart after the game last time I saw him, that guy. He's such a character. He's so welcoming to everybody, and he's just such a, like you all said, just a true leader on that team. But if I'm not picking him, I'm going to say Trenton Bliss is probably that close second in the MVP race there. What he went through this season, battling through injury after injury, it felt like he barely missed time. I know he missed some, but it just felt like if he could play, he could play. It didn't matter to him, and is an absolute warrior out there. And some of the goals he was scoring in big moments, they were just incredible to see on ice. And, watching him in Grand Rapids, obviously, playing very limited minutes here, but seeing him go shine down there like that and now get that opportunity overseas, just a heck of a year from him.
Yeah, it was so great to see him score some big home goals. He and Hawk and that line, just with those 8,600 fans, and those are the moments they live for. The grind of the ECHL 72 game, bussing city to city, and just the grind. That's what makes it all pay off. I mean, to celebrate like that, scoring a huge goal. It's good to see those guys get rewarded in that way at home, and that's a good choice for sure, Brandon Blisser.
I think the one with him is the goal against Indy, right? The first goal in the first game of the playoffs, and like, you're the guy that took the picture for the blade down in the corner. Like, that was a phenomenal picture. Like,
yes, I was thinking of the same thing, Travis.
Oh, it's just
say we had some great sellies of those home goals.
Yeah, definitely in the playoffs. I could honestly see a world where he probably would have won the MVP for Toledo if they probably clinched the Kelly Cup.
I think that's a good call. Yeah. Sure.
If they would have won it, I think he would have had a strong argument. It probably would have been between him and Hawkins, and sad we didn't get to see that. But yeah, he had an unbelievable playoffs, and it's kind of interesting that he ended up in Norway. Like, I feel like I was kind of surprised. I thought maybe a bigger league over there, but hey, wherever it's at, go get your money, my guy.
Yeah, it was tough to see him not play in that last game.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It was so tough. I had to kill him to not be out there. And that's not his call on that one. That's medical staff. Because he had missed, if you guys remember, last playoffs, had missed the final four games of that final series. So it was tough to see him miss that last game. But yeah, good for him. Who knows what his contract deal there is in Norway, but I like the guys to all go over there and succeed.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, I think to wrap this one up, I mean, obviously we know this league is ever changing, and we don't really know what's going to happen next. But what do you hope to see in the offseason for this team?
Oh boy, it's going to be a whole different team. I mean, it really will. I don't think anything gets sorted out from my years of experience until August, really, before it really starts coming together. I think you'll probably see the Hawk announcement here. That'll be the first one. That's going to be surprise no one. That although I already saw there was a rumor out there that he was going overseas, and do you see who put a wash that right away? That's what makes Hawk great. But no, not true. So he'll be the first one. So you build around him. That's not a bad piece. The goalie will come. Both goalies again will come from GR, and I'd be surprised. I would think Eilander would be back. Other than that, honestly, guys, I don't know. I know Pat has said there's more guys that'll be we'll see as it's announced that it'll be going overseas. But maybe they will start completely fresh. I'm sure they'll have not a lot, but less than normal come back. But I think you're going to see a whole new team. I think, again, there's going to be that emphasis, as much as we address this, as bigger players, more physical players. But as even going back to Waddy over the years, those guys are so hard to find.
Yeah.
Guys with size and skill that are going to be at this level. So you got to trust Pat. I know Hawkins has told me time and time again he respects Pat and the ability to put a roster together. And again, if you're an ECHL guy, and you're not going to get the contract in the American League, then Toledo's a great place. So they have the selling point of just the success. We haven't even talked about the crowds, guys. I mean,
yeah,
80 straight sellouts. I know, Brandon, you really enjoyed the playoff experiences. It's like the NHL or the ECHL, as the guys say, playing here. So there's a lot to attract the top talent. I'm convinced that they're going to have a competitive team again.
Are there any of the, let's say, mid-season or late-season acquisitions that they had that you really hope to see come back? Like one that sticks out to you that you really want to see?
Well, that Ambrosia, like Travis was saying, he was great in the playoffs. I thought, that goal he scored, was it in Kansas City? I think, where he did the bow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But we'll see. I mean, maybe he gets offers elsewhere, but they've got plenty. This roster was good. Look how far they took him. So I think he would take 12 back if they all wanted to return. But I know it's a developmental league, and they also hope that some of these guys do, get better contracts overseas or make it up to the American League. So, but just to answer your question, I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but I think it's going to be another competitive roster.
I'll piggyback off of Mark there with the mid-season acquisitions. I just want to say this. So I went to Miami about a month before we signed Moulton and Ambrosio, and they had 2 wins. They played ASU, and ASU just smoked them, right? And then you see we're signing 2 guys from Miami, so you're this is going to be interesting, right? Coming from an organization, a team that's struggling that mightily. And then they're coming into this, and they stepped in, both of them too, and just had impressive seasons. And Moskal,
yep.
I honestly, I think he was the best face-off guy they had, and they got him with 3 weeks left in the season.
Right. Yeah. He was playing up in the Canadian leagues, university leagues. But yeah, he was. That would be another guy I'd like to see. Like you said, he was very valuable, and I think that's a very valuable stat that maybe people overlook, this face-off success. But yeah, not to get too deep into the weeds, but yeah, I agree with you on both Moskal and Moulton.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I think that is all we have for you in this season recap. Again, thank you, as always, for coming on the show and just being a great friend of the show. It's always so good to see you down at the locker room after games when I make the trip down. It always makes the trip extra special. So we appreciate you. And as always, we always let our guests tell everyone where they can find your work, where they can follow you at, because you post more about the Toledo Walleye than us by far. So where can they find you?
Maybe too much, maybe an annoying amount.
No, never.
I love Twitter, to be honest with you. I still like using it, but it's been great, by the way, having you guys. Travis, having you down there, in February when the rest of the local media, honestly, is just not there. It's just great to have other people that have a vested interest in taking an interest with your podcasts and all that you guys do. I think that you guys add a lot to it, and glad that you branched out, and I hope you guys stay with it. And then anytime you want to have me babble on your podcast, I'd be happy to. But again, the Twitter is @Monroe Blade. And actually this Sunday, if you want to look for it on ToledoBlade.com, I'll have a Q&A with walleye walleye trainer Brad Frederick, who's been there as long as I have. He goes back to the Storm days. That guy, I remember looking at him after the loss in the finals, and that's a guy that's been through all these tough losses and just has been in the, he's a guy that the players really count on to have them healthy and ready to go. Brad Frederick is a great guy. He just won an award, and I'm going to catch up with him. So check out my Q&A with Brad Frederick in Sunday's Blade, ToledoBlade.com.
Awesome. We'll definitely share that when it comes out as well. Well, again, Mark, thank you so much. We always appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Hopefully you get some relaxing time in there, and we'll be sure to have you back on once the roster shakes out and we're getting ready to cover another full season.
Awesome, guys. Thanks again for having me. Anytime, maybe we'll catch up here as this roster starts coming together, and blink of an eye, it'll be training camp time. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Always a good time to have Mark on, man. It's just one of the nicest people, and like the way he's welcomed us into, covering this team. Sometimes when other media jumps in and starts doing things, it ruffles people's feathers the wrong way, but Mark, not even close to that guy. He just welcomes us and shares his knowledge with us and truly appreciates what we're trying to do, exposing more people to the Toledo Walleye, and just absolutely love having him on the show.
Yeah, he's a beauty. It was a very fun year getting to talk to him on a nightly basis, when we're downstairs waiting for players or for Pat, and how welcoming he was to us and how good of a friend he's become of ours. He's been on the show. I think this was like his third, or I don't know, could be his fourth time. We've lost track. And I'm sure he'll be back on plenty more times in the future as next season rolls around. So huge thank you to him. Check out his work. I think he's an excellent writer for the Blade. He does great work. Travels with the team in the playoffs. Like, he was at every playoff game. So very passionate about his work, and I think he does great work. So huge thank you to him.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that wraps up the season. Your first full season on the show. Congrats. You made it. You didn't kill us. So
It was a grind. It was definitely a grind. You do it for an entire season. A lot of long nights. But when you're at the playoff games and you're there in it and doing all the stuff that we've been very fortunate enough to do, with all thanks to the Walleye again, like, that was an unbelievable season. And you're 3 games short, but man, it was probably my favorite season of hockey that I've ever been a part of. And that's even watching the Wings win the cup in 08. Like, this year kind of made the Walleye feel like truly one of my team in a way that I never thought that would be possible. Because I always used to say, man, these people are crazy. Like, this is their team. Like, I didn't get it. Like, I understood it, but now doing this and knowing almost more than what I know about the NHL now that I've covered the ECHL for a season, it's like, man, okay, I fully understand now. And it was a special year, and all the people that stopped us and said hi and wanted to talk for a few minutes, thank you to you guys. That was unbelievable. We loved talking to everybody all season, and the friendships that were made. And just one last thank you to the Walleye. I mean, and even the Griffins too, for you guys up there. It was just an incredible season. Got some fun stuff coming this summer. Might be a couple more Storm interviews. We're working on players, and then potentially some stuff with the media. So their media side. So we'll see what happens, and here's to a good summer.
Oh, yes, man. Here's to a good summer. But no, like you said, thank you again to the Toledo Walleye. Thank you to the fans. It's truly a second home when I come down there, and I know I can speak for Nick on that too. The way that they've welcomed us in and taught us so much about the history of Toledo hockey and why it's so big and why it's so special. And it's crazy to think, being a born and raised Michigander, that an Ohio hockey team is one of my teams. That doesn't add up. But it is, man. It's not just the media side of things for me. I'm truly a fan of this team and a fan of that city, and I absolutely love coming down there. Heck, I'm coming down there again here in July to see you play some golf, and It's going to be a good time, and just another thank you to you, dude. Like, everything you did this season, all the work you put in, and a thank you to your wife for putting up with it. And I know she enjoys it too, and enjoys seeing you get to do it, but it's truly you and your element down there, and you've brought a new aspect to this show that we never thought we would have. And at first when we started, it was just Nick and myself. I don't think we ever thought we'd add another person. And the way we just met you through hockey Twitter, like you'd think we've known each other for years, and we haven't. And it's something truly special. So thank you again to you and just to everyone. What a fun freaking season. I know it's sad to not have a trophy to talk about, but it doesn't matter. What a freaking awesome season this was. And I'm so excited to get into the next season. I do want to enjoy some summertime first, but I'm ready for the next season to be around the corner already.
Yeah, I'll say this, like, covering the team for a year, like, you're going to learn to enjoy your summers really quick. But
and you got a team that's playing till June every freaking year. Yeah, good Lord.
Yeah, no, and thank you to you two. I mean, this was an unbelievable year. Trying to fill in on the Griffins shows or just add some 2 cents when I could, but for taking this thing to the next level with all the access this year, and that was completely like last minute too, like right before the home opener. It was like,
yeah,
I mean, it was just crazy. So you guys, I mean, I'm not here without you. So as much as you're thanking me, I got to thank you guys, because without you guys, I'm not here.
Yeah, no, man, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to have some fun off-season content. Can't wait for the golf outing on July 11th. That's going to be an absolute riot. If you are participating in it as a fan and you see us out there, please say hi, but don't judge my drive. It's still not fixed. Every other shot's looking good. The drive,
well, that's good. That's good, because I had to put my driver in timeout last round, so I'm strictly hitting a mini driver off the tees now.
Oh, we're screwed. Oh, we're so screwed.
Oh, you're not screwed. That thing's like 270 right down the middle. So.
Oh, perfect. All right, cool. No, we're good. We're winning that thing.
Yeah, no, we're not.
Well,
you better watch your mouth, otherwise we're gonna have side bets with people we're not gonna be able to pay money to.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Well, let's wrap this one up. Again, thank you to everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for the off-season content that's coming up. Of course, before we end the show, we got to thank our sponsors of the show. Normally I'm thinking DraftKings, but that's off for the summer. We're thanking Everything Hockey Clothing Company, everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST. Save a few bucks off your order over there. T-shirts, hoodies, and all the other cool stuff they have. We'll share some more of their stuff that they've got coming out, because they're dropping new products all the time. And, of course, we got to thank the Hockey Podcast Network for being great partners with us. And we got to thank our Patreon subscribers. And if you didn't know by now, our Patreon's free for the summer. I know Nick and Travis did a bonus episode over there, just the two of them, the other day while I was stuck at work talking off-season and all other sorts of stuff. I haven't watched it yet, and leaving those two unattended is sometimes a recipe for disaster, so I'm scared to see what it was. But if you haven't checked it out yet, patreon.com/Hockeytown West Podcast to check out what we got going over there. And, yeah, that's it. That's a wrap. Toledo Walleye Season 1 of full coverage on the show. All done. Thank you all. Enjoy your summer, but come back and check out what we've got coming. And until we talk again, as always, go Griffins, go Walleye, and we'll talk to y'all again soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod, and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.